Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Mo and Ash Vibes. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic that every international student must know about. We are going to talk about that what are the reasons that a study permit application can get rejected and what are the things that you can do to avoid this. What can you do to make your file stronger? So if you're also somebody who wants to come to Canada to study and who is going to apply for the study permit application, keep watching this video till the end because we are going to discuss about all of these points that will help you to make your file stronger and that will also reduce the chances of your student visa getting rejected. But before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel yet, please hit the subscribe button and share the content. First, let's talk about the reasons why a study permit application can get rejected. Because if you already know the reasons that, okay, these are the possible reasons why a study permit application can get a rejection, then you can work on those things right from the beginning and you can make your file stronger. Now, there can be many reasons why somebody's application gets rejected. If your application gets a rejection, the immigration will also send you a letter telling you that why your application was rejected. So in today's video, we are going to cover the most common reasons why an application gets a rejection. One of the most common reasons are that you do not have enough funds or you are unable to convince the officer that you have sufficient funds to support yourself while you are studying in Canada. Now, as we all know that as an international student, we are only allowed to work part-time. So there is a restriction on the number of hours. So whatever you are going to earn through part-time work, it's not enough to take care of yourself plus taking care of the tuition fee. So they want to make sure that you have enough money to pay for your tuition fee and at the same time you have enough money to support yourself while you're studying in Canada. Another reason why you may face a rejection is that you are unable to prove that your main purpose to come to Canada is to study. This can happen if, let's say, you choose a course that is not related to your previous field of study or your previous education, or it's not related to your current career, or it's not adding any value to your existing career. Then the immigration officer might think that you just want to come to Canada to settle here and your main reason to come to Canada is not to study, or you're not serious about the study. So they may think like that. So this is another very common reason that an application may get a rejection. Your study permit application can also get a rejection if there was a gap year. Now, a lot of times people really get confused by this term. When they think that it's a gap year, it means that you left your studies few years ago and after that you didn't study at all, so that is a gap. Well, that is only a gap if you did not even do anything else after completing your studies. But let's say after completing your studies, you were working somewhere, then there is no gap in your career as such, because after completing your studies, you were still working, you were doing something related to your career. So basically there is no career gap. But let's say after completing your studies, you did not work at all. Maybe you were traveling or spending time with your family. Basically, you did not do anything related to your career. Then that will be considered as a gap year, and in that situation that might count towards a reason of rejection. Another reason of rejection could be that you are unable to convince the visa officer that after completing your studies in Canada you are going to go back to your home country. Now, a lot of times people, when they apply for this study permit application, again, their main motive is to come and settle in Canada, which means that they are not going to go back to their home country. So if the officer feels by looking at your file that, okay, this is the person who might not go back to their country after completing their studies, so that could add to the rejection reason. Now, a lot of times people wonder that how an officer can make that decision just by looking at the file that this person is not going to go back to their country. Well, of course, nobody can say for sure just by looking at your application that you are not going to go back to your country, but there are some factors that may hint towards that. For example, let's say if you have a lot of relatives in Canada and you mention that in your application, then the officer might feel that this person has a very strong ties in Canada and this might be the reason that this person is not going to go back to their home country. Similarly, let's say there are not many jobs related to your field in your home country, then by looking at your application, the officer might feel that this person might not go back to their country because they do not have many jobs in their home country related to their field. So after completing their studies, they might just settle in Canada. So although these things seem really little or small, but when somebody or when the officer is looking at your application, they are going to see these little things on the basis of which they make a decision. Along with that, there could be some other reasons too. For example, you provided the faulty documents, or you did not clear the medical exam, or you did not meet the minimum language requirements. So all these reasons could add up to the rejection. So there can be many reasons why a study permit application gets rejected. I just told you the most common ones that I have come across or I've heard from people. Now comes a big question, that what should you do to avoid the rejection? So whether you're someone who's applying for their study permit application for the first time, or if you're someone who has already applied for the study permit application before, faced a rejection, but now want to try again. So you just have to make sure that you make your study permit application really strong and take care of the things that I've mentioned before, so that you do not face rejection. Now, in order to make your study permit application strong, you can do a few things. Some of those things are, first thing you can do is that you choose a good course and a good college. So when you're choosing your course, you have to be really smart about it. You should choose a course which is either related to your previous study or at least related to your existing career, which means that whatever studies you've done before, it should be either related to that, or let's say if you're doing a job somewhere, then it should be related to your career and it should be adding value to your existing career. This way you will be able to prove to the officer that after doing this course, you're actually upgrading your career and it's going to be helpful for your career. And this way you will be able to convince the officer that you are serious about your studies and your primary or main purpose to come to Canada is to study. Another thing that you can do to make your study permit application strong is that you show that you have enough funds to support yourself while you are going to study in Canada. Now, when you're going to apply for your study permit, you will have to open a GIC account, which is the Guaranteed Investment Certificate, in which you have to deposit 10,000 Canadian dollars in Canadian bank so that you can use that money when you are studying in Canada. So that's a good proof or a good way to show that you have enough funds to support yourself. But along with that, if you are able to provide additional proof of funds, that would be just like a cherry on the cake. Now again, this is not compulsory that you provide so many proof of funds. You just have to provide one proof of fund and that should be okay too. But if you provide additional proof of funds, then it's just making your file more stronger, because they know for sure that you won't face any problem when you are studying in Canada. Basically, they just want to see that you have enough money to pay for your tuition fee and at the same time take care of yourself while you're studying in Canada. As I mentioned before also, that if there is a gap in your career, then that might be a reason why a study permit application gets rejected. However, if you are able to justify that gap, then you should not face any problem. For example, let's say you completed your studies a few years ago and after that you started working somewhere. Then that won't be considered as a gap, because after completing your studies, you were still doing something related to your career. You were working somewhere. So it was not like you were just on a vacation or you were just spending time with family, not working on your career. So that won't be considered as a gap. However, you need to provide proper documentation for that. So if you have worked anywhere or wherever you have worked, make sure you provide the proper documentation of that. Maybe you have to provide the employer letter or offer letter, or from what time till what time you were working, so, or pay stubs. So anything related to your job, you have to provide proper documentation of that, so that they know that after completing your studies, you were working somewhere and now you want to study again. So this will show that there was no gap in your career. Also, you should be able to convince the visa officer that after completing your studies in Canada, you are going to go back to your home country, which means that you have strong ties in your home country. It could be related to your family, so it could be family ties, or you could also show the officer that how after completing that particular course in Canada, you are adding value to your career, and how you are going to get a good job in your home country, or how it's going to be helpful for you to get a job in your home country after completing this particular course. So basically you need to show that you have strong ties in your home country. That could be related to your career, that could be related to your family, it could be related to your parents, it could be related to your partner. Basically you need to show that you have strong ties in your home country and you are going to go back to your home country. Last but not the least, in order to make your file strong, make sure that you write a very good SOP, also known as the statement of purpose. This is a very amazing document because this document gives you the opportunity to explain yourself and your situation to the visa officer. Through this document, you can explain to the visa officer that why did you choose to study in Canada, why did you choose a particular course, or why did you choose a particular college or university, and how is that course related to your previous field of study or your education, or how is it related to your current occupation, how is it adding value to your existing career. And if there was a gap in your studies, then you can explain to the visa officer through this letter that what did you do after completing your studies and why have you decided to study again in Canada, and then what are your future plans. Here you can explain that after completing your studies you are going to go back to your home country and look for a job related to your field or whatever reasons, but you can explain in this part that you have strong ties in your home country and then you are going to go back to your home country after you have done your studies in Canada, after you've completed your studies in Canada. So all of this you can explain in the SOP letter. Also, if you are somebody whose file was previously rejected and you are applying again, then you can explain in this SOP letter that why was your file rejected before and how have you worked on those things now and applying again. So you can explain all of your situation in this letter. So SOP letter is a very good document and it gives an edge to your application. We have also made a detailed video on how to write a good SOP. I'm going to provide you the link in the description box and in the I button as well. You can go through that and this way it will help you to write a good SOP for your application. Just an additional tip, if you have any recommendation letters from your college or university or from a teacher or from your employer or your previous employer, so if you have any recommendation letters, do attach those in your application as well, because it just gives your application a very good look. It just shows that how dedicated you are and how serious you are about your study and about your career. So it just gives your file a good look. So if you have any of those, please do attach those in your application. So these are some of the things that you can do in order to make your study permit application strong and in order to avoid rejection. As I've said before as well, that there could be many reasons why somebody's file gets rejected. In my video, I've just tried to cover some of the most common ones or some of the ones that I've heard of. Still, if you have any more questions related to the topic, feel free to comment in the section below. With this, I'm going to wrap up our today's video. Now I will see you in our next video. Until next time, ta-da!